Is it really that surprising that Bitcoin just got a bounce from the range lows? No. Markets aren't all black and white, and everyone was max bearish as Bitcoin tapped into the 107K level. In today's video, I'll be talking about what we should be expecting for Bitcoin as we go ahead and try to target the liquidity to the upside. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's kick us off with going over what we've been covering on the channel for the past week or so now, and that is this massive confluence zone for Bitcoin. As you can see here, if I zoom in, we tapped into a very pivotal level for Bitcoin. Why, you might ask? Well, there was a ton of confluence. First of all, it is the bottom of the existing range. As you can see, we drew out this range for over 1 month now, and Bitcoin tapped into the perfect bottom of the range. Number two, the bull market support band, which historically holds Bitcoin as support, you can see held it up once again. We wicked down to these levels, which are made up of exponential and simple moving averages, and you can see that this band is holding as support. And finally, we also tapped into the point of control of the previous range. As you can see here on the chart, this is the previous range, and this turquoise line here represents the point of control where we have the most volume. We tapped into it, and now we are currently holding it as support. And why else did I expect some kind of move here? Well, there is so much liquidity to the upside, with also a large CME gap. As per the CME chart, we have a massive gap between 114.2K all the way up to around 116.8K. It's very common to go ahead and target this level, especially with all of the liquidity to the upside, which we've been covering on the channel at length. As per this chart, we can see that there is way more cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market than cumulative long liquidation leverage. So when everyone go max bearish and there's a ton of shorts in the market, it makes sense that at these crucial confluence zones, we can get a bounce and go ahead and target that liquidity. But to be perfectly clear here, while we did get a bounce in the short term, it's still not time to celebrate because we need Bitcoin to reclaim some key levels. Now, what are those levels? First of all, as per yesterday's video, we talked about the inauguration all-time high, which was set around 109.4K. You can see that I marked it on my chart here, right at this turquoise line. Now, we finally surpassed it after wicking to the downside several times into this key confluence zone. And if we continue to close above this level, it does look good to go ahead and target at the bare minimum $112,000. Now, $112,000 is also a significant level because it was the all-time high that we set back in May of this year. So if we can confirm back above $112,000, then at that point in time, I would be expecting that we start to target these little liquidity zones. As you can see, the first one being right around 113.5K. Then we can go ahead and target the whole Jackson hole pump that we got around $117,000. And then we can start talking about 119K plus. But for now, my base case has been that we would be getting a bounce from around these zones as per outlined at the beginning of this video. And if we can confirm above 112K, then we do look good to grab the liquidity right between these levels. Now, to be perfectly clear here, I do think that we will stall out at some point in time, but as we enter at the range lows, it was not time to go short. Shorting would have been an excellent opportunity when we got this Jackson hole pump, and then we went ahead and retraced, getting rejected at the top of the range. These ranges are extremely important, and when you match them up with other parts of your analysis, it's very clear to see that we would have gotten a bounce from these levels. I want to see us reclaim $112,000 before we can potentially discuss going as high as $115,000 to $118,000. But we'll have to see how it plays out, because we also know, as I've been covering on the channel, that seasonality would suggest September being not the greatest month for Bitcoin. And so even though in these upcoming days to potentially weeks, we can go ahead and target that liquidity to the upside, I am actually not favoring a brand new all-time high from here. I think that we could potentially see a deeper correction after we target the liquidity up here, and we could potentially see Bitcoin as low as below $100,000. Now, I got a comment on my YouTube channel saying that that is absolutely ridiculous, and that if Bitcoin were to go back below $100,000, then the bull market would be over. But I completely disagree. If Bitcoin were to go back below $100,000, that would be a max bidding opportunity in this market, not necessarily for Bitcoins, but more for altcoins as we enter the last leg of this bull market cycle. So I will be going max long on some altcoins and also actually buying some spot altcoins if we get a deeper correction in September. And remember, if you want to know exactly how I am navigating in this market, my open trades as well as my spot positions, you have the first link in my description down below, which brings you directly to my free Telegram community. All you need to do is DM me the word premium and I would be happy to onboard you into my group where I share my exact trade setups and how we can become profitable in this market over time. So, taking a look at this chart once more, Bitcoin got the nice bounce. But again, it is not time to celebrate. We need to reclaim $112,000, that previous all-time high set in May of 2025, if we are to target the higher up liquidity. There is a lot of liquidity to be grabbed as per this chart, and so I would be expecting a move to the upside should we reclaim that very key level. Something to consider, the pre-market here is red for the Dow futures, the S&P 500 futures, and the NASDAQ futures. And so if the stock market does start dropping today, we can be expecting a little bit more downside for Bitcoin. That being said, if we zoom in on the 4-hour or even the 1-hour chart here, I do want to emphasize on the fact that we should not be sweeping these lows again. That would be very surprising for us to sweep these lows once more and then get a bounce. If we start sweeping these lows, I would actually be expecting a further correction for Bitcoin to start at that point in time, because you can see we set this low here around 107.3K, then we set another low around 107.2K, and then we tapped into it one more time right around 107.5K. So I would not be expecting a massive wick to the downside here unless we are ready to go ahead and move lower on the lower time frames. Just sharing with you my analysis. Now, something else I want you to consider is we've been covering USDT dominance as well at length on the channel, and it is very interesting to see that we did get rejected at the bull market support band. Now, USDT dominance getting rejected here is actually a positive thing. We want to see us move down if we are to see further upside in crypto. However, I don't think that we will be breaching this 4% level, because you can see that we've been holding up for years since 2017, as I've covered on the channel time and time again. And so even if USDT dominance does end up confirming that rejection from the bull market support band and we move lower, which is bullish for crypto, I don't think that we will get a sizable move below 4%, and we will likely come back up. Perhaps this would be the ultimate September correction before our last leg higher of this bull market cycle. I'm preparing myself for a bigger correction, despite the fact that I am currently in a Bitcoin long targeting upside liquidity. But I will likely be flipping short if we get the opportunity to do so right around $115,000 to $118,000. I will scale into that position. So let's see how it plays out here. We do have a pretty exciting week ahead. Today we have the ISM manufacturing PMI data, and we have the JOLTS job opening data tomorrow, along with the ISM services PMI data on Thursday and on Friday, non-farm payrolls, and the unemployment rate, as we talked about on the channel at the beginning of this week. But something else that we should consider here is that Trump is to make an announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. And so let's see how that plays out, because there could be a curveball coming into fruition very shortly. And on top of this, we have Jim Cramer that came out and said that the market in September is normally weak. Now, this is factually correct, but I don't know a single person that has been wrong so many times. And so typically, if he says something like this, maybe we're in for a surprise and an explosive month. We'll have to see how it plays out. Now, my base case is still the same. I do think that we could be seeing lower levels in September. Maybe it happens with a bad inflation print, maybe the unemployment rate spikes, maybe we get something along those lines. But if we are to see a larger drop in this month, it will likely be on some kind of data that comes out. Now, something that you also should consider is that maybe we don't need to pay attention as to whether or not September will be red, but maybe the low is set in September and it can go ahead and end green. So what I mean by this is, assuming that Bitcoin goes ahead and grabs this liquidity to the upside and we can reclaim above $112,000, perhaps we end up coming down, setting an aggressive low, maybe right below $100,000. Then we get a massive wick here and we pump right back up, and September does go ahead and end green as we shake out a bunch of positions in the market. I would still be seeing this as a massive opportunity, and as I said, I will be scaling into altcoin longs as well as some spot altcoin positions as we prepare for the last leg of this bull market cycle. I hope that makes sense. If you want to know exactly how I'm navigating in this market outside of these YouTube videos, remember you have the first link in my description down below, my free premium group on Telegram, where I'm updating you guys every single minute of every day with some voice messages along with some charts to match my analysis. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin did get the bounce that we've been talking about from the range lows. It took a while to confirm there, but now we want to see if we can break above $112,000 to go ahead in the short term, in the upcoming days perhaps, target the upside liquidity before potentially moving lower. It's very difficult to paint the exact path of Bitcoin, but this is currently what I am expecting for this market, and it's also how I'm trading it. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.